Welcome to JoDee Jean's Kitchen. Today we are going to cook a wonderful pan-seared salmon with a spinach and cream sauce, roasted asparagus, and a time-saving quick fix potato that we're going to add a little something extra to kick it up just a little bit. First thing we're going to do to start off is we are going to sear off our salmon. It's important that your pan is very hot and you get both sides of it brown. So we're going to go over here to our beautiful fillets of salmon. Now, these are in a cryovac because I got them from the restaurant. We serve this particular piece of salmon. It's a center cut fillet. It is boneless, skinless. So we're going to open that up. And you want to pull out each piece. And it's very important when you're pan searing anything like salmon or scallops that you make sure that it is dry. So we're going to pat dry our salmon. I usually just use paper towels and get it pretty dry. Roll it over. And some people leave this on the salmon. It's like a blood vein. We always take ours out, and normally we do it when we grill it. We just skin it out. But since we're doing it in the pan, we're going to take this out in the pan like that. So the first thing that you do with that is you let it sit there just for a minute and get it, like I said, dry. And then we're going to come in with some seasonings. I'm going to use lemon pepper and a little bit of Italian, and that's probably it. Because this is a heavily seasoned dish because like I said, we're going to put it in the pan first, brown it off, set it to the side, and then we're going to go back in with our garlic and onions and everything. So when you got it nice and dry, and remember, the lemon pepper will get hard. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just because it has a lot of different stuff in there that stick together. Put a little bit of Italian on there. I think this will flip open. And kind of push this down into there. Because remember, we're going to pan sear this. And then we're going to do the other side. Make sure your pan's really good and hot when it goes in. We're going to sear it probably 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, nice and hot. And this is just regular old olive oil. And be careful when you set this down in there because it can pop and splash at you. And you hear that sizzle, you want to hear the sizzle. If you hear the sizzle, then you know it's hot enough. Move it around and let it sit there for a couple minutes. And in the meantime, while that is browning, I'm going to take this over there. Get rid of your fish, and we're going to come back in here and chop up our garlic and red onion. And it's going to go in the pan after we take the salmon out. So I always give my garlic a good smack, and then like this will come off. Let me get this so you can see this well. And then it just pops out. Neat little trick. Not everybody knows it. Some people do. Because I really don't like touching garlic that much, but it's a must. So you're going to chop this up pretty good. And if you have one of those nifty garlic choppers, that will work. And then it's like basically hands-free. Now take a look at your salmon. See if it's browning. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. Be careful, if you can see, when I just lifted that up, it did a little popping on me. You definitely don't want to burn yourself. All right, we're going to put the garlic to the side. Then we're going to get us some onion ready. Because what we're going to do is basically take the salmon out, put the onion and the garlic in, let it cook for a couple minutes, and then we're going to deglaze the pan. So you can always chop while you're waiting for that. That way it doesn't slow you down at all. Remember, because we're trying to make this dinner in a timely fashion. You don't want to be sitting around in front of the stove cooking all day. See how beautiful that is? Nice little, just a little crust around the edges. You don't want to get it to where it's too dark. I mean, you don't want to burn it. So we're going to continue chopping our vegetables as you got to keep an eye on your fish. But you want to chop this onion up and the garlic fine. So the best way to do that is to start with thin slices and run through it first and then go back and chop it with your hand, hold this steady and let me get this so you can see that good. Letting your knife do the work and scrape it in as you do. That helps you go through it a lot faster. Scrape it off your knife like that. This is how we train all the guys in the kitchen, because sometimes they'll come in there and they'll chop an onion and it'll take them like 42 minutes. And you know, that's not going to fly over very well. So get that all nice and fine. When it starts popping, as you can tell just now, I know that I need to check it. And this piece is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to put it on its side for a second. Right there. Because this one's thinner and this one's thicker. So you want to make sure that you get both sides. There you go. And it's a little messy, but it's easy to clean up. All right, so that's done. And see how it's falling apart a little bit there? I'm going to go in with a spatula just in case it decides to fall apart. Now put this over there and it's going to rest for a few minutes. And I'm going to turn my eye down because you don't want to burn the onions and the garlic. So I'm going to turn it down to like medium. Leave that in there. And then we're going to scrape all of this in there. There. And then stir that around. Make sure that it doesn't burn. But you want to use all the juices from where the salmon was cooking to help you develop some flavor in here. And see how it's getting just a little bit brown right there? Can you see that? That's when you want to add in your chicken broth. This is chicken bone broth. I like to use this better than the little cubes and stuff because it's not as salty, but it has a lot of flavor. And then you're going to bring that to a boil, which this is an induction oven stove, so it definitely does everything just a little bit faster than most of them. So then we're going to come in here with our spinach. And I know this is going to look like a lot of spinach, but it cooks down to almost nothing. So we're going to put that in there and let it wilt down. And this is just a 5-ounce pack of baby spinach. They sell it everywhere. Get it down, put a lid on it. It always helps it wilt. And then we're going to go back in with the heavy cream and butter. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to wilt down, we're going to go to our next thing. Set that over there. And that is getting the asparagus prepared. So there's a little trick with asparagus. I don't know if anybody's ever showed you all this before, but you can always flick it and it lets you know how much to cut off. So you don't have that icky rind hardness to it. So we're going to use this as my guide to how far I'm going to cut it up. And that way it eliminates the stuff you don't want. And I always leave the rubber band on just to try to hold it together. Of course, when you cut through it, it doesn't really work that well. Get them all laid out. Make sure none of them are bad. You want them all crispy. When you're picking them out in the grocery store, I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but The petals on the asparagus, if they're already wilty or brown, do not buy it. You always want to get the ones that look nice and fresh like this and, you know, plump on the ends, not withered, no strings at all. Oh, and the spinach is already cooked down because this stove is super fast. All right, so now we are going to lower the temperature even more and come in here with our heavy whipping cream. Drizzle that around. We're going to put our salmon back in the pan and be very careful with it now because at this point, the salmon is very, very tender. So I'm going to start with the bottom side up, especially for presentation. And then we're going to do the same to this one. Give it a little flip. Right there. Now tell me that doesn't look delicious. So we have that over there. Now I need a spoon, and we're going to baste the salmon. Basically, we're just going to layer it with all this flavor in here. Now, at this point is where you want to add, if you want it to be just a little bit spicy or, you know, anything you want to add to it, this is the time when you're going to add it to it. And we're going to leave the lid off now, and this is going to cook down, and the sauce is going to get thicker. And we're going to add Italian seasoning, or if you had fresh basil, if you had a garden and you wanted to add fresh basil, now is the time to do this, because it would be absolutely delicious. And we're gonna taste the sauce, because when you're cooking two different ways and you've already taken the salmon and put it into the pan with the lemon pepper and stuff, you never really know how salty it's gonna be or how salty the chicken broth is gonna be. You wanna make sure that you're not over salting something, because that's the worst two things that you can do, is over salt or over spice. But there's tricks around that, which I'll show you. Definitely gonna need a little salt. So we're gonna use regular salt in this because we have so many flavors going on. I'm just gonna salt it. Not so much, the fish is already gonna have seasoning on it. So we're gonna go around them with the sides here. And try to stir, you know, incorporate it in. Take the spinach off the salmon, turn it around a little bit. Make sure you get that all mixed in together. And I'm gonna go with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I usually use the fresh cracked pepper. It just has a more pungent flavor. There you go. All right, so we're gonna let that simmer just for a few more minutes, and we're gonna go back to the asparagus. So take your pan, put a little olive oil in the bottom, and line your asparagus in there, and you're gonna roast it at about 400 degrees, and that's some plump asparagus. So actually, we're gonna use a bigger pan, because you kind of want to roast it. You want it to get a little bit crispy-ish, not too bad. You don't want to overcook it. We're gonna spread it out here. And then, of course, we're going to top this with some Parmesan Reggiano. Give it a nice amount of olive oil. Mind you, it's not going to be greasy because it's going to cook out. There we go. Put some salt on there. A little bit of pepper. Go. And I'm going to put this in the oven. And when we get back, we're going to finish up this dish. So right now, we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll see you in a few.
JoDee's Kitchen is brought to you in part by the Harvester Performance Center. World-class entertainment year-round. Harvester Performance Center, downtown Rocky Mount. Visit harvester-music.com.
Everything we have is right here in town. If we don't have it at this location, we have several other stores that we are definitely in communication with, of which, myself or anyone would be happy to drive no matter the distance to get what exactly you're looking for, whether it be a color or a case or a phone. Well, the great thing about us is we're current members of the Chamber of Commerce. A lot of our employees are local. We've been here, we're from here, been here 7 years and established a great relationship with the community. So we look forward to serving the community and actually being an impact in the community. People come over every day. They want to stop in to Kroger and pick up a few things, or right next door to our One Main Financial location, or even Suntan City, people who come over for their everyday needs. So it's definitely a high volume, just for convenience alone. You pop over to Kroger and get gas, or you're going to stop by, your local restaurant down the street and get a bite to eat. We're right there within arm's reach of it all.
Are you looking for great food and entertainment? Ippy's Restaurant is the place to be. We have been serving local communities since 1919. With made-from-scratch entrees and specialty dishes like our famous Oyster Rockefeller, smoked prime rib, and hand-carved filet mignon, we have a great selection of menu items that are all made to order for your everyday dining or special occasions. We also offer private rooms, catering services, and have a wonderful assortment of local bands that play in the lounge. Ippy's Restaurant and Lounge, 1760 North Main Street, Rocky Mount. Alrighty, welcome back, and we are just where we left off, and we're going to finish this dish up. Recap on what we've done so far. Always start with the salmon, dry it off, season it, put it in the pan. Everything's in here, and it's cooking nicely, and it's reducing. All of our flavors are in there. The asparagus is in the oven. Whoopsie. And this is almost ready. Now we are going to do the flip in the pan. Now be careful because the salmon is almost done. So when you flip it, use a spoon and a spatula and turn it over because that's your presentation side. The side where you did not cut out the blood vein. That one's falling apart, but we're gonna make it work. There you go. Yummy. Now the sauce is cooked down some, so we have to go in for another taste. Always taste your food, especially when you're cooking a sauce. That is delicious. Needs to cook down just a little bit more, and we're going to take a temperature of the salmon because you do not want to overcook it. You only have to cook it to 145. And if you want it medium rare, you could go less if it's been frozen. And we are at 120 now, so I would say just a couple minutes, and it will be absolutely perfect. And if the sauce is not reduced enough when the salmon is done, you can take the salmon out, set it to the side like we did before. It's not going to get cold. In a couple minutes, it's going to take the sauce to reduce. All right, now I'm going to get a quick look at the asparagus just to make sure that it's roasting nicely. And it's very fresh. We're going to give it a stir. If you can see right there, it's very crispy still. You don't want it to, you don't want to overcook it or burn it. I mean, mind you, it's probably good any way you cook it, but there you go. Give it a little flip. All right. Now the salmon is boiling pretty good. Now you got to keep a close eye on it because we do not want to overcook it. And see how fast it jumped up? It's already at 135. And I'm going to turn it down just a little bit because, like I said, this stove is very high powered. All of your spinach is in there, all nice and neat. There you go. Now we're going to prepare our potatoes. Yes, I am using a box mix. Feel free to use fresh potatoes. You'll have plenty of time to make them while you're cooking your asparagus and your salmon. But we want to have the meals fast and easy because remember, I just got off work from working an 8-hour shift at Ippy's restaurant, and I'm coming home to cook dinner for my family, and I don't want to be standing here all evening. I want to pretend like I'm in the kitchen and I have a 20-minute ticket time. And that way everything comes out perfect at the same time and delicious. And this is the same salmon that we use at the restaurant, so you know it's going to be delicious and tender. We're going to check this one more time, because like I said, it sneaks up on you fast. And we are almost ready. Yep. We're going to pull it out and set it to the side and let the sauce cook down just a little bit more. Because as you can tell, it's just a touch runny still. And that's all about playing it by ear. You know, when you're making a sauce, you never know what's going to happen. It can either come up fast or it can come up slow. Try to get this out one piece. And if it falls apart, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, my stuff's not always perfect. So make sure you stir this, because we're going to be bringing it up to another boil and let it cook down some more. After it cooks down, you need to give it one more taste, because it is going to, as it reduces the seasoning and the flavor, and it's going to get a little bit more pungent, a little stronger. All right, now the water's boiling already, and we're going to add in our potatoes. Now, this is just a regular old bag of potatoes. My son loves them. He thinks they're the best thing since sliced bread. And after the water boils, you dump that in, put in some butter. Usually 2 tablespoons. And now is where you can change this up any way you want. You can either put bacon in there or cheese, any kind of seasoning. If you want mozzarella mashed potatoes, all of it's good. We're just going to keep it plain, because we're going to serve our salmon over top of it and drizzle our sauce over top of that, and then put our asparagus around it. And it's going to be delicious. Now, look at the sauce. If you can see, it's reduced to almost about half in the pan, and it's getting thicker. So we're going to go in here, give it one more taste, and see if we need to change our flavor. And that's really hot right now. That is delicious. It doesn't need anything. So get our potatoes all stirred up here. And you know that's delicious. Alrighty. So I'm going to turn this down to really low. We're going to pull out our asparagus. See if it's done. Don't think it is. Just give it a little touch, and you can tell when you're feeling it if it's really hard still. Some people like it crunchy. Some people like it a little bit softer, like you can tell this one's more done, and this one is not quite done. And if you're really indecisive on it, look down the center of it, and you can tell that it might need just another minute. I like mine roasted in between. I still like a little crunch, but I like it to be cooked just a little bit more. And this is the time when we are going to top it with some of that fresh Parmesan Reggiano so it can melt in the oven. And, you know, be generous with this, because like I said, it is a buttery deliciousness that you probably can't get enough of. It is the one cheese that I definitely splurge on when I'm buying cheese. And just cover it all over there. That's why I didn't highly salt this, because the Parmesan has a good amount of salt in it. And if you want it spicy, just remember at this time, this is when you can add some seasoning to it. And kick it up just a little bit in the spice level. I like a lot of spicy things, but usually I just keep this the way it is. All right, so sauce is perfect. I don't think it needs much more time, but we're gonna give it just a minute, and when we come back, we'll plate it up and we'll give it a taste.
Everyone's doing it. Follow your neighborhood network on social media. See news live as it happens. See more local content. Your neighborhood network proudly serving Martinsville and Henry County.
Alrighty, welcome back. We are going to finish up our delicious salmon dish. And while I am in the process of plating, because everything's ready, I'm going to share with you a couple of tricks that we use in the kitchen as we're going along. Usually clean up as I have time. I just take my containers, toss everything in there. Clean up is a breeze. That way you don't have to worry about doing it after you're done cooking. Just toss it all in there, all nice and neat. And you know, if you have a good family, hopefully they'll do the dishes for you if you're cooking. And that's it. Now we are going to plate. All right. I know I've said this 5 times, but be careful with your salmon, just so you don't break it. Oh, first we're going to put the potatoes down. Get a little mound of those. We're going to make it look nice and pretty for the family. Put that out there. Get your salmon. Put that right on top of there. We're going to get the asparagus out of the oven because I know it's ready now. Oh yeah, that's what you want. That beautiful melted cheese on there. Over here. Get a generous portion of that on both sides. And now that is going to be beautiful. We're going to put the sauce on it. Don't be chintzy with the sauce because it is going to be the best part of everything. It goes with all of it. That's why I picked the asparagus. You get that beautiful spinach on there. Just dump it right over the top of it. Oh yeah, delicious. Now, a lot of people don't want lemon on something like this with cream. I think it adds a little brightness to it. So I'm going to go back in here with just a little bit of lemon. Give it a little squeeze right over the top. Oh yeah, get out a fork here. Give that a taste. And now this literally took 30 minutes. And that salmon was perfectly cooked. Don't overcook it. Don't overthink it. Always use fresh ingredients, cooked simply, in a timely fashion. Go in here and taste this potato with the sauce. That's delicious. Well, that's it for this episode of JoDee Jean's Kitchen. Tune in next time for some more delicious dishes done in a timely fashion. Thank you so much. Have a great day.